service project this semester, Tatiana and I went to St. John's Center for Homeless Men. The St. John's Center for Homeless Men was started in 1986 by a Catholic nun by the name of Sister Kathleen. She was hand-selected by the mayor of Louisville at that time to start the day shelter, and at first it served both men and women who were homeless, but eventually they decided to put their focus on helping homeless men because they make up the majority of the homeless population, so they felt like they were getting the most out of their resources that way. Their vision at the center is a city where all homeless men have the resources and support that they need to leave homelessness for good. And their mission to achieve this vision is to help homeless men address barriers to self-sufficiency and housing so that they may leave homelessness for good by providing shelter, social services, supportive housing, and serving as a hub with partner agencies. St. John's Center is where homeless men seek help, find hope, and move forward.
Here we are, welcoming guests to St. John Center. St. John offers a wide variety of day shelter services. These are the most easily identifiable services that people associate with St. John's. They are open from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. 365 days a year. Probably the thing that everybody hears about is the St. John coffee. They have coffee every morning. The coffee is always donated, and it's a guest favorite. They also offer showers during weekday mornings, and the towels and the toiletries are free. The men have the opportunity to use St. John as a place to get mail sent and phone messages sent, and they can make local phone calls as well. They do have a common area that they are able to use, and they have access to newspapers, television, and food and clothing is often donated for distribution at St. John, since it is a well-known hub for homeless services.
Yeah, they don't have food that's actually served as in meals, but they connect the men with either a food shelter or a food pantry in the area, or sometimes they have churches that will donate pastries for breakfast or sack lunches that the men can have if they'd like.
This is the volunteer office behind me here at St. John's Center for Homeless Men. Raymond is the new volunteer coordinator, so anyone who wants to come in and volunteer, he sets them up with a time to come in and serve them in.
This is the coffee station. St. John's goes through a ton of coffee every day. The coffee is free to the men. It's just a nice hot drink that we offer them, and they can also fill up on nice cool water in the summer.
This is the mail and the phone station, so clients can come in and get their mail delivered here and pick it up here at this desk. They can also get phone calls here, and they can use the phone to call whoever they need to. They can also have messages left here, and the staff at St. John's will get that message to them as soon as they're back. They can also come up here and check out a newspaper or various board games for entertainment while they're here at the center.
Check-in is every person who enters is asked to check in so we can verify their identity with their TV card, and we make sure we know where they spent the night last night so we can track and make sure that we're getting the resources to them as well as possible. So we also try very hard to know their first name basis, and we check in with them when they come in and out.
Here at St. John's, the men are allowed to come in and take a shower. They have access to the bathrooms that we provide them with toiletries and clean towels that are donated and washed here behind us. And they can come in and take a shower whenever they'd like.
This is Tatiana checking one of the guests in at the check-in desk.
And this is Ashley working the phone desk.
So here are some of the other services that St. John's Center offers for its guests. These are the services that are available throughout the weekdays. They have different people on staff that come to St. John's Center, and they're from outside agencies such as the Veterans Administration. They have a lot of different social workers and different like community service organizations that come and provide their resources to the men at St. John's Center. So they provide legal services. They also provide housing services through both the Veterans Administration and then also through St. John's programs such as housing counseling and the Housing First program, which we'll get into a little bit later. And then they also have caseworkers available for each of the men, and they're paired up with a caseworker where they get to work one-on-one with that person and really get all of the help that they specifically need as an individual. And they also can get an ID created so that they can apply for jobs and have access to more things in the community through that.
The first Catholic social justice principle that St. John Center fulfills is the life and dignity of the human person. They do this through their day shelter services. They give men a place to go and a place to socialize, and they like to treat their guests as guests, and they like to know them on a first name basis.
That fulfills the dignity portion of this. So they really give each of the men a second chance, and they treat them as people, and they don't really blame them for being homeless. Instead, they try to connect them with the resources that they need to overcome that homelessness. They see potential in every single man that comes through the doors. And an example of this is kind of a neat story that St. John's told us. It was about one of the clients one day. He came in and he received a phone call at the phone desk, and when he hung up the phone, he was really excited, and he started cheering for himself, and the other men started asking him what was so exciting, and they were cheering along with him. And it turns out that he had received a call from Jimmy John's about a job that he had applied for, and he had made it to the second round of interviews. So he was really thrilled that he had a second chance, and St. John's Center wrote a story about this, talking about how they give every man a second, third, fourth chance, whatever it takes, to get them the dignity that they need and that they deserve.
All right, the second Catholic social justice principle that St. John's fulfills is the call to family, community, and participation. They kind of do this in a twofold manner. On one hand, they provide ample opportunity for the larger community to get involved and serve the vulnerable population of homeless people. Volunteers are encouraged to donate their time, their money, and products, depending on what is most in need at the time. We have volunteers there that have been with the center since they opened in 1986. They do fundraisers like Raise the Rent, which is a big, fancy fundraiser day, and most of their donations do come from private donors. And products, they often put up calls on their Facebook page for things like, oh, we're getting low on coffee, or we're getting low on this toiletry, and people will come in spontaneously over the next couple days and bring in supplies to restock them.
They also have a bunch of long tables at the center of St. John's, and those tables are all there for the men to sit together, socialize, sympathize with each other, and talk about what they're going through, and also kind of bounce ideas off of each other so that they can really overcome the barriers that they're facing. They sometimes play games at the tables, they'll watch sporting events, and they'll all cheer their teams on together, and it just really builds a great sense of community at the center. They also participated in a project called Take a Stand, and that was a nationwide program that we actually had part of it here in Louisville, and the men, along with the staff at St. John's and some of the volunteers, did the event they went outside and stood with signs that you would normally see like a homeless person standing with. They made signs like that on cardboard and just stood up for homelessness and tried to make people aware of it. It's just a big event that they were happy to all stand together for this year.
And the final Catholic social justice principle that St. John's fulfills is the option for the poor and vulnerable. All of the work that St. John does fulfill this principle. The day shelter services meet their basic needs. It gives them a safe place to be, a place out of the elements. It gives them fresh water and allows them to have good hygiene. But the biggest way that it really is through their permanent housing solutions, specifically the Housing First program. The Housing First program is a program that is based entirely on the idea that if you give a man a house, or a woman, then they will be able to grow from there and succeed from there. Housing First goes against conventional step-based programs where applicants are asked to proceed through a variety of steps and of increasing responsibility to prove that they are responsible enough and independent enough to have a house. Housing First program gives them a house to begin with, matches them with a caseworker, and lets them grow from there.
The Housing First program may seem uneconomical at first, but studies have actually been done on it in various cities throughout America, and they've all found similar results, but one that I looked up a lot was done in Florida, and it looked at a community that surveyed both the cost of homeless people and all of the different fees that come along with that, such as emergency room visits, different rehabilitation programs for maybe mental health or substance abuse, things like that, and also a lot of different crime costs, like funding the police officers and funding the homeless people to stay in jails. And they found that that costs a little over $31,000 per person per year to keep the people out in the homeless world. But if you give the homeless people a home and also a caseworker that works for them, then it only costs about $10,000 per person per year. So it's actually a third of the cost to do the Housing First program. So this is really a much better way to take care of chronic homelessness, and that's why St. John's has adopted this program at their shelter. And this is our final conclusion. We think that St. John Center, SJC, equals Catholic Social Justice, CSJ. So this was one of the quotes that we found at the desk when we were working one day, and we thought that it kind of summed up their mission and all that they're doing perfectly. So it said, "I sought my soul, but my soul I could not see. I sought my God, but my God eluded me. I sought my neighbor, and I found all three."